Hey, gun people! This is a pretty good training opportunity on some shooting. There's some good things in this one. So, again, I'm just going to give you my perspective from um, being a cop all these years and seeing things like this. So let's get on with the video and see what we got here. It's quiet at first because when you turn on the body cam, you always have 30 seconds before the audio kicks in. Because what it does is he turns it on and it goes back 30 seconds before without audio. I think the way they work. They're always upgrading trans, so that may be wrong. So I'm not sure what the initial contact was here. They're following the guy. He's walking away. You can't hear it now. You will in a minute. He's telling the guy, drop the knife.
Put the knife down! Black male, no shirt, gray jeans, black shirt, took his shirt off. Get out!
Okay, he gave good physical description. He didn't really give a good location. We're walking down a tree line, etc. When you're following a guy like this, he's got a lot of distance. The guy's got a knife, so he's keeping a lot of distance. A lot of people would say if he shot this guy now, it would be the cop's fault because he got too close. He was decreasing distance. Remember, cops have no duty to act. Nobody's in danger unless the cop can say why he's got to articulate why he thought somebody in danger. But these cops following this guy, cops don't have a duty to act to protect. Cops can only get in trouble and get sued when they act. There is a whole bunch of pressures for cops to do nothing. Hire more cops, make people think they're safe, give guns only to cops, take guns away from citizens, and then they still don't require cops to act to protect the public. I mean, it's just crazy for people that want gun control, but I digress. Let's stay on this video here.
Down, now!
Okay, so what I didn't hear, and you're going to hear a woman here, it sounds like he's got a woman trainee because he refers to her as my trainee. So there's probably a young rookie officer. She's a black female. She does not shoot. This guy does shoot. He's the more experienced. Is that good or bad? I'll get into that when she does that. This guy also could be, I wouldn't necessarily be walking tactically wise. I wouldn't be walking right next to here. This is a great setup for this guy to get cops to follow him. You're right here, and there's guys hiding in the bushes right here to ambush you and take your gun. Now, obviously, in a crisis, if you're fighting an enemy or a, shit at the fan or a revolutionary type situation where government has weapons, this is a great ploy to get government to follow you with a gun. You don't have guns. You wait here in the bushes with a couple guys. You set them up. You walk them down this kill zone, ambush point, whatever you want to call it, and then they jump out. So I would probably be walking a little bit farther so I had more reaction time. I would be trying to walk on here. This is where his female is at, so there's two officers. That's probably why he's here. He's taking the most direct route. If there wasn't a female officer here, he seems like he's pretty tactically trained, or he kind of knows what's going on. He probably would have moved over.
Put the knife down. Stop walking.
Wow, such command presence. That girl voice really just would make me want to throw the gun down and give up. Rick, why you? Shut up, you big dummies. Listen.
Careful.
Okay, so the guy disappeared. Is that good or bad? Should the cops have ran up? This is where people start second-guessing cops and telling them, if and buts and coconuts, whatever you want to say. This is where you get all these damn questions about, well, why the cop, and he should have, and why did he run, and he didn't have to, and he... This is just kind of a reaction experience. The guy went out of sight. You're following a guy. He's got a knife. Did he go out of sight to stab somebody? Did he go out of sight to ditch a gun? Did he go out of sight to grab a gun? Did he go out of sight to ditch the dope? So cops who are kind of meat eaters and going after people, he followed this guy and kind of went after him. I would have probably done the same. You go out of my sight, I'm following you with a knife. I've already made contact. I've already challenged you. I've already established this relationship. I don't want to abandon that so-called special relationship that I've created, because now if I abandon it and you hurt somebody, I can have some of that liability on me. That's not necessarily why I do it. I think it's just the right thing to stop some crazy guy with a knife so he doesn't hurt the public. But to justify it legally, there's other terms.
You just ducked into a tent.
Hey,
I'm gonna tase you.
Okay, he just ducked into a tent and he came out. Man, I'm telling you, I just don't like this taser crap. This guy handles it good. This guy is what I consider lucky. Now, people think I'm cracking on him, calling him lucky. He may be the most well-trained one-hand taser and one-hand gun shooter and holding. He may be the best taser gun-handed trained person in the world. I'm telling you, most people aren't. It's not something we train. We never go to the range with a taser in one hand and a gun in the other. You just don't train that way. There's inter-limb interaction that will mess you up. You'll end up shooting one or shooting both. There's all kind of studies. The flinch response, the squeeze response, the startle response, it's all in there to where you end up clinching and flinching when you're in a crisis or grabbing or falling or tripping or running. This is not a good technique. I don't like it. I wouldn't teach it. It worked. Because it worked, there'll be people saying this guy's a hero and he did it really good and we should start training this. And see how easy it is? This guy made it look easy. Look, this guy, I can tell by the way he's talking and moving. He's a trainer. He's a training officer. The way he ran, the way he's reacting. I don't know this guy. I don't even see his face. But I can tell you he's a lot more tactically minded guy than most cops. And he does a good job here, but I still don't like the two-handed, one hand on a taser, one hand on a gun crap. All right, so he tases the guy.
What's up, babe?
And it stuns him a little bit. Holy cow. It's a miracle. But Rick, he still had a knife. Yeah, he did still have the knife. He didn't drop the knife. That's a problem. Tasers causes a clench. It sucks down your body. It forces you in a fetal. It constricts your muscles. It doesn't make your hands open up and make you drop something. It makes you squeeze tighter in whatever in your hands. Inter-limb action.
Taser deployed. You're gonna get it again.
So this cop again, he went from challenging, he pulled his taser in one hand, he's got his gun in his other hand, he tasers him, and he gets out on the radio, taser deployed. To me, I know it's training, I know it's good, but to me, it's just an unnecessary step when you're still challenging and involved in a violent encounter. That's called distracted attention. Same thing I talk about in the DUI tests. I want to distract your attention. I want to do multiple things, because when you do multiple things and multiple tasking, even though you have people running around saying humans are great multiple taskers and we can multitask, it's not true. The mind works on one thing. When you multitask, you cut corners on each task that you're doing in order to multitask. When you're focused on one task, you do one task better than when you're trying to multitask and refocus on multiple tasks. So I know everybody likes to claim that, everybody can multitask and I multitask, and we do to a certain extent, but it's not the way we're designed. It's not the way our brain and functions work. So this guy tases him. He's looking for weapons. He's still looking for other people. He doesn't know if somebody's in the tent. He doesn't know his surroundings. He's got a trainee with him. So in reality, he's kind of thinking, I'm kind of on my own here. You notice the trainee hasn't done anything except yell at the guy at one point.
You're gonna get it again. Come on.
Tases him again. Again, no response or no help from the trainee. He still hasn't cleared the tent. He's still multitasking. He's keeping an eye on his trainee. He's keeping an eye on the bad guy. He's still got to keep an eye on that tent because that tent hasn't cleared. There might be people in there. And he's still got a guy with a knife coming at him. Everybody see the knife? Rick, maybe it wasn't a knife. Maybe it was a butter. Yeah, that's because you're an idiot.
Come on.
Okay, when he said come on, this is a absolute 100 easy justified shoot. And you notice the cop had the gun in one hand and the taser in the other. He takes a two-handed grip with a taser in one hand and a gun. Did he do it good and did it work? Yes. If a fireman runs in a burning building and saves somebody, he's a hero. If he dies, he was stupid for going in a burning building. The outcome of an incident. This guy did good. He's going to be a hero. If this guy would have shot him or he'd have missed, it'd have been like, he's stupid. Why has he got a taser in one hand and a gun in the other? Why is he taking up a grip, a two-handed stance with a taser in one hand? He doesn't have a good two-handed grip. Why is he doing that? Look, if and buts of coconuts, people. A lot of factors. It worked for the guy. He did what he had to do. He adapted. He had a plan. His plan kept going to shit, and he was adjusting. I don't have a problem with the outcome because it worked. My biggest problem, and it's not really a problem, it's just a training measure. A defense attorney will take this later and say, have you ever trained with a taser in one hand and a gun? And his answer is going to be no, because we don't train that way. Because it's not good. Because it's too easy to think you're firing a taser and fire your gun, or fire the gun instead of the taser, or fire them both when you wanted to fire one. And that's why you don't train with different things in different hands for doing this. Can it work? Sure. It just worked right here. Is it a good way to train? No. Is there any scientific study that says this is good and this is a great technique? No. Is that going to be used against him in court? Yes. Am I saying this cop's a bad cop because he did it? No. Don't try to twist this around that I'm picking on cops and I'm making this cop look bad, or making him look good, or I'm taking a cop's side, or I'm not. This is a learning experience. This is how chaos happens. This is controlled chaos, and you do the best you can. People who have real experience in chaos understands that, you know what, shit happens and you deal with it. And it may not be perfect, and you can't remember all the 1,500 policies and the 1,500 laws and the 1,500 supervisors that told you to do it this way, and you just don't remember all that in a crisis. You do what works, you react, and hopefully you win and you come out on the top end. Is it the perfect training scenario? Can you train for every scenario? No. That's my problem with these internet trainers that have never had any experience, that their biggest experience is, mall college, or, Walmart education on ammo or gun handling or whatever. They have no experience to pull from. So they sit here and they nitpick and they tell you what you should do, and they don't understand that, you know what, when you're in these situations, shit happens a lot faster than it does on the video. Your mind's going 1,000 miles a minute. You're thinking about 1,000 different things, and it's easy to sit back and go, well, per policy, he should have had a two-handed grip with a forward-handed and a isosceles stance, and when he drew his gun, you notice he just threw his gun up, and I always train to where you do 1, 2, 3 gun draw. You draw it into the chest, and then you extend your hand, and it looks really tactically cool, and that's the way I train for all my videos, so people are impressed. Well, you're a freaking idiot, but when you don't have any experience, it's easy to look like you're cool. So I think this guy did okay. This is the main point of the video. The rest of the video I'm going to get into crime scene preservation, how they get so many cops there, how government comes in and there's really not control of the scene. But overall, this cop, I think, did a pretty damn good job because of the outcome.
Shots fired, shots fired.
Okay, he immediately fired twice. Good. He double tapped. He didn't single tap. He got out on the radio. Shots fired. Somehow the taser is gone. I don't know where it is. Maybe he reholstered, because I see a lot of people training that you got to reholster fast and you got to keep. He probably dropped the stinking taser like he should have and abandoned it. Who cares about the taser? It shouldn't even been in his damn hand anyway. It worked out. Again, there's going to be people saying, Ricky tried the taser and you're picking on it. Whatever. Look, all this wasted time with the taser and stuff. This guy wanted to die, suicide by cop. I don't even know if the guy dies or not. I don't really care. I'm just looking at this from a tactical response to learn on how things go fast and what goes through cops' minds when they're actually out here. And again, I'm telling you this from actual experience, not from watching videos like some people who are YouTube gurus. Ooh, green screen.
Don't move. Do not move. Get a medic down here. We got shots fired. He took one to the face, one to the chest.
Okay, female officer standing there with a gun. She hasn't said anything and she hasn't done anything. That's kind of normal for a rookie. I'm not saying she's bad or mean or cracking on her. She's fairly new to cops. She hasn't probably been exposed a lot. She's with a training officer, and now she just sees a guy shot. She's probably pissing her pants, and this is her first maybe hot call. Maybe it isn't. Maybe she's been to 1,000 of these, but she isn't really engaged. She's kind of the deer in the headlights, kind of frozen. Holy shit. I'm out here. What do I do? I've never experienced this. My partner, my training officer just shot and killed somebody. Oh my God, I'm about to get involved in my first IA. I went to the academy and they told me about medical and maybe I should be medical and I don't know what to do. And since I don't know what to do, I'm not going to do anything. And a lot of people do that. I mean, it just happens. So I'm not cracking on her, but that's just the reality of it. Most training officers, I was a field training officer, you don't really depend on your trainee too much. You kind of treat them kind of like they're your helper. You have to direct them. You have to tell them what to do, especially on these high-risk calls because they just don't have the experience. They're kind of like a mall cop that, they're out there showing up. They don't know.
Stay calm, brother. I don't want to do that, man. I did not want to do that.
You can hear in his voice, if you watch his grip, he's going in fight or flight now. Even though the threat is gone, he's still his body. He can't control it. Sympathetic, non-sympathetic, nervous, everything's kicking in. He's still getting adrenaline jump. His heart rate is still up. His blood pressure's still up. He's still losing. His fingers are tingling because he's losing blood supply. There's all these things still going on with this guy, and he has to stand here calmly and try to maintain and not appear out of control. What his body wants him to do right now is run. His body is in fight or flight, and he either needs to be fighting or running and flighting, and he's not doing either of those. So he's doing contradictory to what his body is dumping adrenaline and telling him to do. And you have to fight this consciously on these incidents every time. The more incidents you're involved in, the less it affects you. That's why cops ends up getting big guts. I think it's called cortisol or whatever that chemical is. It stores in the gut. And when you get these dumps of this chemicals and then you don't do anything with it, and cops go through this every day in shifts, we get these adrenaline dumps from the domestic call to we're fighting with a guy, to a drunk, to an accident where we're seeing people die or whatever. I mean, we don't necessarily go through that every night, all night, but on the weekends, you can go call to call in bigger cities and you're just dealing with this adrenaline pump every night, 10, 15 times a night. And then you have to refocus and calm down. Well, when you calm down, all those chemicals are still in your body. But I digress on the belly of cops. People just want to believe cops have big bellies because of donuts. And that could be part of the reason, too.
Stay calm. We got help on the way. Go get them from the road. Holster up.
See, she's just kind of standing around and looking. She's kind of in awe. This may be her first gunshot victim. This may be her first shooting. She's moving, and she's kind of keeping her gun on him because that's about all she knows how to do. I mean, she's just kind of a little in shock. So the FTO recognized that and gave her a job. Hey, go get them by the road. Put your gun away. He didn't want her carrying a gun around. She's probably got a death grip or a flinch response to that gun. She's not thinking that, the threat's kind of gone. He's got a gun. Maybe I can reholster. If she reholsters, she could have some jerk FTO go, I didn't tell you to reholster. Why did you reholster that gun? You don't reholster till I tell you to So there's all those conflicts. Again, I'm not picking on her. I'm just telling you all the different factors that can go on when you're out there, and it's easy for people to sit back and watch a video and tell you how perfect they would be.
Spencer, we're right over the bridge. She's coming to the road.
I'm going to jump up just 10 seconds here when you see that little thing I'm moving 10 seconds.
Opposite side of the bike path. Opposite side of Spencer to the bike path. Somebody bring a med kit with him.
He already asked for medical. He's kind of repeating himself. That's normal. He's trying to give out, again, he wants to do something. His lips are dry. He needs some water. His saliva glands have shut down. All his blood's moving to his major muscle groups so he can run or fight. So he's losing blood to other areas. He's also losing blood to his brain, which is all the blood is directed to his reaction response, his lizard brain, all about fight or flight. So he's trying to process things, and he's also running through his mind right now, Am I sure this is good? Did he really have the knife? Did I give him enough time? Is this going to look bad on the news tomorrow? How's this going to play out? Did I just lose my job? Did my whole life just go to hell because I shot a black man and now I'm going to be called a racist and I'm going to lose my job? So he's dealing with all this and he's still trying to maintain the scene, get officers there, talk to the guy. He's feeling bad because he shot the guy. He doesn't want the guy to die. He didn't want to shoot the guy. I know people are going to think, oh, cops just want to shoot him because he's black. Yeah, well, you're an idiot. He didn't want to do this, so he's dealing with all these factors. If people understood this, if juries were educated on what goes on these incidents and how cops think, they would come to different conclusions. My biggest problem with all these sirens in the background is...
You with me, partner? Try to stay awake, man. Try to stay awake.
You got cops driving like maniacs here, and there's really no threat. The scene is pretty much stabilized. You still need to get some officers there to secure it, but for 50 cops driving around Denton, Texas.
He took one in the face, across his cheek, and one in the chest. I got the knife away from him. I don't know if he's got anything else.
Okay, that's good. He's briefing people when they come up. He's kind of recalling. He's going to recall things differently. So his statement right here may be different. When he gives a statement later, when he calms down, he might not say what he just said here. And the defense will try and make that about, well, which one was correct? Was it this one? And you must be lying. And they'll try to throw mud in the water to make this somehow so they can make a living and make money off the state and get the state or city to pay them money or their client money or their parents money. And, this guy's homeless. He's got nowhere to go. He's living in a tent, but suddenly his family's going to be popping up on the news. He was a good kid. He had just registered for doctor school and now he's dead because the mean white cop shot him. Yeah, okay, whatever. Same song and dance. Lies by the media.
Now.
No.
There's a tent back there we need to clear.
He's still kind of controlling the scene. This person kind of showed up. You notice everybody that shows up really doesn't have what I call a sense of urgency. Cops aren't medical people. When medical shows up, they want to get to the body and do their job. That's what they're trained to do. Cops aren't medical. We get medical training. We get first aid buddy care, but that's not what we do. Our job is we have guns. We want to be secure. We know bad guys want to shoot us and hurt us. We want to preserve the scene. We're looking at it from different angles. Cops are more legal and survival oriented. Medical are more medical oriented. That's why medical doesn't come in until the scene is secure. That's why medical is probably staging and saying, is it okay for us to go in? Because when they come in, they work on the body. So people are going to make that out. These cops don't care. They're not even giving him for. They're just letting him bleed because they hate black people and everybody's racist and get the media. Look at the cops just letting that. You know what? It's just not true, people. Use your head for more than a damn hat holder. I mean, common sense is a superpower nowadays because they don't want you to think. They want to tell you what to think instead of teach you how to think.
Right, straight ahead, straight ahead. He's got one in the chest, one in the face. You got just something to put pressure on?
Okay, so these two cops in the back here, they're going to go clear the tent. Good move. We still don't know if there's somebody in there. We don't know if there's a weapon. These cops don't know what the contact was. You notice none of us know why they contacted him. Is he a gang member? Did he threaten somebody? Did he pull the knife after I started following him or before? The reason for contact on this is probably the biggest critical area that could be problems. If they just contacted him for jaywalking and he ends up dead, people are going to say you killed him for jaywalking. It's not true. He committed a crime. He committed an offense. The cop was going to stop him, issue him a ticket, search him, pat him down. He matched the description of a guy who had a warrant in the area. He matched the description. Again, I don't know why he contacted him, and that's a critical point. When cops end up making initial contact, kind of like the guy in Florida on Stand Your Ground that got shot. He shot a guy because the guy assaulted him, and I think he was good for shooting him in Stand Your Ground, but the whole incident is tainted because he contacted them over parking on a handicap, and people are running around yelling he shot a guy for parking in a handicap spot. That's not what happened. That's just ignorant. So if this cop contacted him because he was jaywalking, because he had an open container of beer, because of some minor offense, they're going to say you killed a guy because of jaywalking. And that's just an unreasonable, outrageous, liberal left, ignorant leap on why this guy got killed. This guy got killed because he failed to stop. He was a no person. He did not ID himself. He armed himself with a weapon. He came at the officer. He was tased and still got up and tried to stab the officer and said, come on, an aggressive response, and took a swing and increased his distance from the officer, or decreased his distance by moving in and making an aggressive move. That's why he got shot. I know the left will tell you he got shot because he was a black man walking in the woods going to doctor school and the officer just shot him for no reason. You know what? The people who are buying into that are probably on the government dole, freaking idiots, voting Democrat. I mean, it's just so ridiculous the way our country has gone.
Hey, partner, stay with me.
Okay, so here's a little, just a hint for crime scene or cops that's been around. Cops always want to go start emptying pockets and throwing shit. If it's a controlled crime scene and you do that and you put an area, that's great for later. Because we have digital evidence, it's not as critical as it used to be. Before we had videotape, you start pulling crap out of pockets and throwing it, and you have 15 cops walking around and looking. You can't get footprints on what happened before. You can't get where the guy fell. You lose a lot of evidence that you used to need in order to prove a case. Again, with video technology now, this evidence is kind of like ingrained. It's saved. We have good evidence. It's not the end all. You still need other factors on what was going through the officer's head, training, fear, all these other things still need to be articulated and made. But you have greater video evidence, so you can go back and kind of, okay, well, that's how, if this wasn't on video, how did this bag of stuff get over here? The cop may not remember. The cop may not remember throwing it. Another cop may not remember him throwing it. Another cop may say, you know what, that bag was there when I showed up. I remember seeing it. Another cop be like, man, I don't remember seeing it. Another cop goes, well, I remember I kicked it, and it was here, but it moved over here. So when you start emptying pockets, you lose scene preservation evidentiary value on things that are there. Is that critical? Not so much when you have it videotaped. It is critical if you're a smaller agency to where you only have one or two officers and you call in another officer later, or you're doing a complex investigation, you were alone and a guy ended up dead, and you want to have as much evidence to corroborate your story on what happened. Again, video evidence changed all that. But when I start seeing them doing this, those are just things that are running through my mind. Man, if this wasn't on video and this was a crime scene, I'd be like, dude, don't be throwing shit in 14 different directions. Don't be dumping his pockets and doing it. Dump it in one area, keep it in an area so you know exactly came out. And the defense attorney, for those who have never testified or been grilled on a stand, the mall cops out there teaching people, I'm telling you, the defense attorney they'll point to something on the ground and say, where did that come from? I don't know. Well, you put it there. I think I pulled it out of his pocket. What pocket did you pull it out of? Well, I don't know. I don't understand how that's important. It's important because you're trying to say my client had this and he was right-handed. I'm trying to show he's left-handed, and he wouldn't keep it in his left pocket if he was left-handed, and you pulled it out of his left pocket, didn't you? I don't remember. Of course you don't remember, because it helps your case. And that's how you end up looking like shit on the stand, and that's how the jury goes, damn, maybe this attorney knows what he's talking about, because this cop really can't answer the questions. He doesn't even know what he did. That's how you end up looking. And until you've experienced that, you don't get why little things that I bring up are important.
Stay with me, okay?
Just throwing shit around. Yeah, I'll just throw this over there. I'll throw that over there.
Back.
Yeah, he's got gloves. I don't have any.
Roll over, man.
Some medical guy is going to be testifying, officer, didn't you get first aid buddy care? Didn't you say you shot him in the face? Isn't it reasonable that if you shoot somebody in the face, blood is going to draw from his face and down his throat, which could block his airway? Why would you roll a bleeding suspect on his back if you knew anything about, you wanted to kill him? He died. The autopsy report said he died from an obstructed airway because blood drained down his throat and he suffocated. Because you turned him over, officer. Why did you turn him, officer? Isn't it true that you wanted him to die and you wanted to kill him? You didn't want him to be able to testify on what really happened, so you rolled him on his back so he would die? That's not what happened, but that's what the defense attorney will say. I don't understand why this guy rolled him over his back. I wouldn't have rolled him over on his back. See, I think he asked somebody, someone said, yeah, roll him over on his back. Obstructed airway is one of the basics of first aid buddy care. If you roll a guy that's shot in the face on his back, you're going to increase the chance of blood blocking his airway or him drowning in his blood or blocking. Or it's just not a good move. He was better on his side than he was on his back. Why did he roll him on his back? They wanted to see the entry wounds. They wanted to see about blood care. Did they immediately jump on it? Are they medically trained? You know what? Let the medical move him. This guy wasn't hurt. There was no reason to roll him on his back. But cops in this trying to do something and wanting to help and wanting to see the bullet and wanting to maybe provide direct pressure, I don't think the cop's intention was to kill this guy or to roll him on his back. But I guarantee you a defense attorney is going to paint that picture. So again, you get in trouble when you do something. You don't get in trouble when you don't do nothing. Had you let him die, you would have argued, why didn't you try to get first aid buddy care? And you could have said, you know what? I didn't know what his wounds were. I didn't know how serious they were. I'm not medically trained as a medical technician, an EMT, paramedic, or doctor. I'm going to let the medical professionals, I didn't want to make it. It's like if you run up to a dude who's got a knife in him and you go, oh my God, let him remove that. And you rip the knife out and you cut his vein and he bleeds to death because you were trying to help. They're going to crucify you. The guy was on his side. Don't freaking be rolling and moving the body. Rick, why are you cracking on the cop? Why are you making... I'm not. I'm just telling you how things can go bad, why intentions are good. The road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Come on. Stay with me.
Where is he at?
Up here.
Hey, stay with us. I can't even see.
Is he breathing?
Hang on.
He was breathing until you rolled him over, and now the blood's in his throat.
Right his chin, and then another one down there, the upper chest.
When I pull up on a scene and I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cops standing around a guy, from an investigator standpoint, it's just like, gee, Jesus Christ, man, footprints are out on this one. We're not going to get any footprint evidence on anything. If there's any shells anywhere that were in one spot, we're not going to be able to see where the shells landed and where he was standing and reconstruct this crime scene from any evidence on the ground, because anything on the ground is totally destroyed, stopped, moved, and, lost its evidentiary value. And again, am I saying that all these cops are wrong for doing it? No, I mean, look, some people are going to say, trying to save the suspect is more important than your crime scene. And I used to get that when I'd tell cops, dude, man, why didn't you do this? Well, you weren't there. And so I understand it. I get it. But I'm just bringing up points for people to realize it's not simple and you can't think of everything, and mistakes happen and you deal with it and you do your best you could. But when you get on the stand, a defense attorney can make shit look like you intended to do everything that, just happened in the course of trying to do the best you could.
Pressure on him. Hey, if you got gloves over here. Where you are? Yeah, where I am. I think that's where we're at.
So later, they're going to have 6 cops on a stand. And what did you do at the scene? And what part of the body did you move? And did you apply pressure? How did you help? And all the cops will, oh, shit, man, I don't, this guy died, and they're trying to say that we caused him, and I don't want to say I did much. You know what? I think all I did was put my gloves on and stand by him. And then you have another cop. You know what? I remember one officer turned him over, but I had my gloves on, and I might have tried to I don't remember. I had to go back to my car and get something. And you're going to have 6 cops all trying to distance themselves on who killed this guy. And I mean, that's if he died. I don't know if he died or he lived. But again, when you're on a scene, you have to constantly be thinking, and they don't really train cops for courtroom survival too much. And that's a big part of survival, because once you survive on the streets, you got to survive the legal, onslaught of lawyers and family and civil suits, and you have to be able to know how to cover your ass and know what you're doing and what you did and why you did it, and to be able to articulate what you did. And now that there's video evidence, you better be right, because if you say something that ain't right and the video proves that you're lying, now you're a liar and nothing you say is right, and now you look like, I mean, it's tough, man, out there. So I'm telling you, people think it's easy to survive being a cop. It's not, and it's getting harder, and that's why cops are doing less, and they're staying away from these incidents, and they're staying in the background. And if I don't have to be there, I don't want to be there. And if I don't have to get involved, I don't have to. And if he kills 14 people, tough luck. I'm not risking my life, my family, my job. A cop just got convicted of shooting somebody, and he's facing life in prison because he was out there doing his job and he made a mistake, and now he's facing life in prison. How many of you people go to work each day and know that if you make a mistake, you could end up in jail and lose your entire livelihood and lose your family? Not too many of you, but there's a whole bunch of you out there telling cops how they should be doing and what they should be doing. This scene goes on and on. Hell, I'm already at 35 minutes. I might as well let it run, and I'll speed it up a little bit.
It was just.
Good?
Yeah, I'm good. He didn't give me no choice, man.
I'm good. He didn't give me no choice.
It's right over there. Just leave it there.
Okay.
Yeah, don't touch it.
I just want to get away from him so we can get up and treat him.
Yep.
So somebody said, "Where's the knife?" The guy said, "Over there, just leave it there." That was probably a good move. Right now, I think the knife has only been touched by the suspect and the cop. One cop. If another cop goes over and moves it, now it's been touched by another cop. And then if another cop comes over and puts it in an evidence bag, it's been touched by another cop. And now when they test the thing, it's going to have 4 different DNAs, and they're going to say the cops planted it because there's 3 cops' DNA on it instead of just the suspect, so they planted it. They all had it. Again, video evidence is great because we know, but without video evidence, those are the things that mud and lawyers throw into the water to make it muddy, to confuse jurors, to either get their client off or to make the cop look like, you know what, you cops are incompetent. You guys did all kind of stuff that he did, and this attorney brought up I could bring up 1,000 things that these cops should have, would have, could have done and make it look like they all screwed up, when in fact, I think they did okay. There's a few crime scene preservation. When I respond to scenes like this as a cop, my big thing is we don't need all these cops standing around. Stay out of the freaking crime scene. If you want to stand around, make yourself useful. Tie some damn yellow tape. Square this off so we don't have 15 other cops, lieutenants and sergeants and detectives and people who want to bring their wife by because they're on a ride-along, and we don't have all these people contaminating the crime scene. At least mark the damn crime scene off. They've been here all this time and ain't nobody marked the crime scene off. We don't have any crime scene preservation.
Man, stay with me.
That's my biggest issue with this. 1, 2, 3. We got 5 cops here. Everybody's walking around different areas. How many? Quick, somebody who's watched this video, tell me how many cops have touched this guy? How many cops have put gloves on? How many cops have asked questions?
I got. I hit him twice with a taser. Didn't do anything.
Yeah, he went down and he got back up.
Okay. Is there one more suspect or something?
No, we were sitting there doing a report. Well, we'll go into it later.
See, I'll go into it later. We're sitting there doing a report. Well, how did you contact him? He didn't want it on camera. Smart. He's thinking tactically. Now we got more cops coming.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cops now. Oh, let me walk through the crime scene. Let me just go over here. We had 2 cops who cleared the bucket. Oh, we got more cops coming.
Just her and I.
John, I'll stick with John if you need me to.
Okay, yes, please take him.
She didn't fire.
Okay. I still want both of y'all to head up that way. We'll handle it here.
Good move on a sergeant. Got them out of the area. Get out of here. Go get some water. Get out of the area. We've got this. Good move, Sarge.
Ran into his damn tent. Shut this.
Stretcher's off.
So every time he runs into somebody, You notice he has conversations. Those are all going to be used later against him if he changes anything he said the first time. So he said things when he contacted the guy. He said things after he shot the guy. Then he explained on the radio after he shot the guy. Then he explained to cops responding. Then he moved the guy and they talked about things. Then he had a sergeant walk up and he said something to him. And then he had said something here. And later they're going to want this cop. Well, who else did you talk to on a scene, officer? And what did you say to that person? And how many people did you talk to? And how many people were on the scene? And why did you roll him over? And did anybody help you roll him over? And what was your trainee doing? Because you were a training officer. Weren't your job to take care of her? Why didn't you have her help you? Why didn't you have her secure the knife? Why didn't you? There's just no winning. You do the best you can. I'm really not saying these cops are bad and they did a bad job. I'm just pointing out all the different things. There's a lot to be learned from here. I thought the cop did pretty good. I didn't like the two-handed shooting. I don't like a taser in one hand and a gun in the other. I don't think any agency is training that way. If they are, I would call them foolish training, and I would testify against their training, saying that there's all kind of scientific studies that says you do not want a less lethal in one hand and lethal in the other. It's just not a good idea. But you know what? It is what it is. This is a great training tool. Hopefully you got something out of it. Argue it out in the comments, and we'll end that there.